Hello and welcome to Maruti Suzuki presents ESPN Cricinfo Matchday. Yes, the first match of the 5-game ODI series between India and Australia has just ended, and the result is something which would cheer the Indian fans, but the Australians did put up a hard fight. India winning by 6 wickets with just 7 balls to spare, overhauling a target of 236. Largely based on a fantastic performance there, partnership there, beg your pardon, between Mahendra Singh Dhoni and Kedar Jadhav. And I have with me in the studio Ajit Agarkar. I'm sure he'll be delighted with the result, as is Sean Tate, who's joining us from Australia. Good evening to both of you gentlemen. Let's start off with immediately perhaps the star performer of this evening as far as India is concerned, Kedar Jadhav. What a magnificent innings Kedar played, and we're going to show you how exactly the partnership in Kedar Jadhav and Mahendra Singh Dhoni made sure that India would run away victors and take a 1-0 lead. There we go, 141 run unbeaten stand for the 5th wicket between Kedar Jadhav and MS Dhoni, and they made sure that they had a strike rates in the 90s, never making sure that the asking run rate never crossed 6 and over. Ajit.
Yeah, I mean, okay, wasn't a big total to chase, but India was clearly under pressure at that point. Till then, Australia bowled well, created enough chances, enough pressure, but I think Kedar Jadhav just thrives batting along with MS Dhoni. That calmness of Dhoni somehow rubs off on him. Maybe lots of advice coming from the other end of how to approach his innings, because early on in his career, we've seen he played a shot too early, but now you can see he's taken his time, and I'm sure MS Dhoni's got a part to play in that. I mean, we've seen it on a few occasions now that when he's batted with MS Dhoni, he's batted calmly and deep into the innings. Really good innings under pressure. The runs, okay, the 236 wasn't a big total, but India were well and truly under pressure, because after this you are looking at Vijay Shankar,
right,
who's had a decent innings right now, and Ravindra Jadeja, but another wicket at that stage, and would have been a very tricky chase for India.
Absolutely. And Sean, it's good to perhaps once in a while see a 230-240 game, and that too on a surface which looked like it wasn't the easiest of tracks to bat on. And from 80 for 1, suddenly India slipped to 99 for 4. There was concern about whether Dhoni would be able to rotate the strike or get the big hits, but Kedar at the other end ensured that the job got done, and very easily there at the end.
Yeah, that's right. Sometimes with Dhoni's great innings to win a game for India, he's the guy that has to sort of run the show, and he's the only guy. And the guy at the other end sort of plays a second fiddle role. But Kedar was very good. So that made it easier for Dhoni as well for his innings, because the guy at the other end was scoring, better than what he was. But I think just to have Dhoni's presence there and just his cool, calm nature. His just ability to always take the game deep and give yourself every chance to win it, and just took the game away from Australians. Australians got themselves in a position where they think they would have thought we can win this game, and then those two guys just took it away from them and ended up cruising home.
Absolutely, and it looked like it was a very, very well calibrated chase, and Kedar Jadhav, the star performer of the day. Let's take a look at his all-round performance for India as well. This is since the Champions Trophy. His batting average of just a little bit over 41. He's picked up 17 wickets, scored close to 600 runs. There's no stopping this man now.
No, and it's a tricky position to bat as well. I mean, he's not one of the bigger hitters who bats at number 6, but bats sensibly, can hit the boundary when needed, and contributes with the ball as well. Again, today the wicket of Stoinis, when there was a little bit of partnership that had built. He's not doing his case any harm. I think he gives India that 6-bowler option, but it's a contribution with the bat under pressure a couple of times now, once in Australia and once here. That really stands out. So good, very, very good signs for India.
That's right, and Kedar Jadhav certainly making a very, very strong case for himself. On the other hand, the gentleman with the man with the Midas touch, Mahendra Singh Dhoni, yet again proving his worth, keeping his head very, very cool with another good half century to ensure that there were no hiccups at the end. Let's take a look at how India's innings progressed, and perhaps you'll get a better sense of how this match was played out. Ajit, there wasn't much to separate the two teams as far as the run rates were concerned till the 40th over, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, India had a target. They could look at Australia to set one, so it's a little bit different. Virat Kohli and Rohit Sharma somewhat steadied the ship, but there was a lot to be done. I mean, 141 runs partnership tells you the story that there's a lot of runs required with 4 wickets down. So you needed someone calm. The asking rate wasn't high, so you could, I mean, MS Dhoni approaches all his innings. It doesn't matter what the asking rate is in a similar fashion. Nothing different today. Made sure India doesn't lose too many wickets or doesn't lose another wicket at that point. And along with Kedar, just batted through the course of the innings. Once those two were at the end, there was only likely to be one winner, which was India, because 236 was a very gettable total, and although Australia created pressure at the start, once there were two batters at the end of the innings, it was never going to be enough. So just the calmness, just the know-how of how to bat sort of deep into the innings and still stay calm, even if the run rate, which didn't really climb as high, maybe just over 6 at one point, but you still need to be calm. And like I said before, I think Kedar Jadhav seems to thrive batting with MS Dhoni. Almost, doesn't play a fall shot too early.
Absolutely, it seemed to be partners in crime when they are batting together, and also when Dhoni is in fact keeping wickets to Kedar Jadhav. Now, looking at Mahendra Singh Dhoni's record against Australia in this year itself, and look at him in chases. In Sydney, he got a 51 out of 96, Adelaide 55 not out, Melbourne another 87 not out, and Hyderabad 59 not out. Tells you of the fact that he thrives when he comes up against opposition like Australia.
Yeah, I mean, you can see his numbers in the shorter format in one-day cricket. They're phenomenal numbers. I mean, he's done it over the years. Yeah, there will always be question marks about his strike rate, but in this instant, when you need a 236, that's exactly the approach that you need. All that experience coming to the fore. Been saying it, India lose another wicket at that stage and could get very tricky, and that's what he does best. He makes sure he stays out there. Of course, you need support at the other end, and Kedar played the big shot when needed. But it's his experience which sort of restores the calm. The bowlers sort of kept a total down to what was easily gettable on that pitch, but you still had to go bat well under pressure, which he's done numerous times in his career.
Right. And Sean, at times initially it looked like India was under a bit of pressure. It was under the pump, reeling at 99 for 4. MS and Kedar together at the crease, mid-off and mid-on, seemed to be perennially inside the circle. The Australian bowlers extracting a lot of bounce. Did you think at that point of time that this duo would actually clinch the deal for India?
Yeah, I mean, again, probably because the total just wasn't a big one. It was always probably going to be in India's favour, but I just thought the Australians fought well again. The batters just didn't get enough runs, but I thought the bowlers were pretty good. But honestly, I know it sounds like it's tiring and it sounds like it's a broken record, but when Dhoni comes to the crease, he's always going to take the game deep and give India every chance. And I don't think it's going to be until MS retires that we sit back and go, how good he actually was as a one-day player. Probably close to one of the best ever one-day players. So there's not many guys in the world, and especially Australia, they'd love to have a guy like Dhoni batting for them lower in the order at the moment.
Right, and though India won the match by 6 wickets, the game was actually closer than it actually seemed like. And there are two men with the ball for Australia who nearly did the trick for them, Adam Zampa and Nathan Coulter-Nile. Let's take you through their figures and their performance as far as the Australian bowling was concerned. Nathan Coulter-Nile, 2 for 46, Zampa on the other end, 2 for 49, continuously bowling close to Virat Kohli's body, in fact getting him out also. And Nathan Coulter-Nile, Ajit, was continuously pounding away the hard lengths and getting a lot of bounce there.
Yeah, I think all the bowlers, particularly with the new ball, the seamers, I mean, whether it was Cummins, Behrendorff or Coulter-Nile got, I mean, at the halfway stage, Sean said we won't see Indian batsmen getting beaten as much as the Australians were, but there was clearly something in that pitch, whether it was the dry nature or a little bit too paced, where certain balls went through. Rohit played and missed a lot today, which is quite unusual. Especially once the ball's a little bit older, it doesn't happen that often. So it tells you there was something in it, and the Australian bowlers were good. The only thing I felt was once this partnership developed, I don't think there was an X factor in their bowling. I think everyone still kept doing the same thing, just coming and bowling good hard lengths. They needed something different to prize out one wicket at that stage, or at some stage in that 140-run partnership. Unfortunately for Australia, they couldn't do it. They were good. I don't think they had enough runs on the board or a pass score for that ground. but they were in a position at one point whether they could have dictated the game. Great partnership from the two Indians. Australia will look back at maybe a missed opportunity after India were 4 down.
That's right. Sean, maybe 30-40 runs short of what could have been possibly an even more challenging target for India. But at one point of time, it looked like, yes, India was in the game. Dhoni and Jadhav at the crease, not taking any chances. But the run rates were going neck and neck. It wasn't easy to get this game away from Australia too.
Yeah, I think maybe everybody sort of underestimated the wicket. There was, I wouldn't say uneven bounce, but sometimes certain balls would pop up like a bit of a trampoline pop, which was causing player missing. So there was enough in the wicket for the bowlers, clearly. I just think the clear thing was, the guys the Australian bowlers did really well, but Ajit's right, just needed one of those extra wickets. We needed Kedar or Dhoni out, and the game might have been Australia's, but just couldn't have that. Didn't have a guy that come in and like a Pat Cummins come in and take 2 or 3 wickets closer to the end to win the game for Australia. But look, all the Australian bowlers look pretty good. I think Zampa's honestly an underrated bowler. I think for Australia in short form, he's brilliant.
Right.
They needed someone like a Sean Tate.
Yeah.
That X factor who gets you the wicket. No, I mean it's.
You're right.
Yeah. At that stage, you needed somebody. I mean, you look at India. I mean, Shami comes and picks up those 2 wickets. Suddenly changes from a instead of a 260, Australia end up getting 236. They needed someone to create that opportunity.
Because they had the opportunity. 99 for 4. It could have gone either way. Possibly they missed somebody like a Mitchell Stark. Since Sean Tate is not available.
You can't replace those kind of guys. I mean, look, being a bit harsh on the Aussie bowler, I think they were all good. They just needed to create that one more opportunity, which would have given them a bit more of a chance.
Right. It's the Australian bowlers bowling attack who will be regretting the chances, but they will be gearing up for the second game. But meanwhile, on the other hand, the other bowling unit, the Indian bowling unit, would be very, very satisfied with a very good day's work on the field. The Indian bowlers making sure that they restricted Australia to just 236. And we discussed this before, but yet again it comes up for discussion. We need to reiterate the fact that not only the amount of dot balls, but the amount of discipline and good bowling by the Indian bowlers.
Yeah, and consistently creating pressure. I mean, okay, it was probably not a 300 pitch from what we've seen now. Both teams bowl and bat on it. But Australia were on course to get at least a 260, 270, which would have been a little bit trickier to chase than what 236 ended up. So Indian bowlers have been good throughout. I think in New Zealand, in Australia, we've seen, I think Shami's been the pick of them throughout those this one game and the last couple of series. He's carried on from that test series against Australia. So real positives for India, and this is not the strongest attack they can put out. I think Hardik Pandya is missing. So is Chahal, who was rested today. So that makes it even more formidable. I think as much as we'd praise MS Dhoni and Kedar Jadhav for that really good partnership, the bowlers who made it a lot easier for India.
Right, Ajit, let me get you to put on the selector's hat and again ask you, if you're given a choice of selecting a new ball partner for Jasprit Bumrah based primarily only on current form, would it be Mohammad Shami? Will he edge ahead of Bhuvneshwar Kumar, or will you stick with
Yeah, I mean, clearly for me, I think he's always been a wicket-taking bowler. If you look at his strike rate through his career, has been really good. But the consistency with which he's bowling at the moment, whether it's with the new ball or in the middle of the innings or at the end of the innings, he'll get you wickets. Plus, his economy is as good as anyone in that team. So, for me at the moment, he just pips Bhuvneshwar Kumar, as good as Bhuvneshwar Kumar has been with the new ball.
Right.
Shami is bowling better at the moment. So, if there was one guy to be picked out of the two, in my opinion, I'd go for Shami.
Sean Tate, who would you pick, Bhuvi or Shami, based on current form?
Yeah, that is a tough one. Obviously, Bhuvi's a great bowler, and just forgetting about him coming back into this side as well at some point just makes it a lot stronger. So, Shami deserves it. He's probably the in-form ODI bowler in the world at the moment. He's done a great job. So, it could go either way, but you could obviously Bhuvi with the new ball swinging it. So, I'm pretty torn there, but I think Shami at the moment is taking the cake. Yeah.
Right. And what about Ravindra Jadeja's performance? Very, very restrictive. Didn't start really well, but ended up with figures of none for 33. That was very good bowling too.
Which is another positive. I mean, okay, we know when the pitch sort of affords him some help, he's even more dangerous. But did a job at the other end when Kuldeep or Bumrah or Shami were picked up wickets from the other end. You needed someone to keep that pressure on, and he does it. I think he's taking every opportunity that he gets. He's one of those guys who's possibly on the fringes of that 15 to be picked for the World Cup, and he's not done his case any harm.
Right. Sean, any concerns from the Australian performance? Any concerns ahead of the second ODI?
No, I mean, it's just the batting. I think it basically comes down to someone getting a big score. Someone like a Khawaja has to go on with that innings, get 100. That's the big difference. One or two guys getting 100 or an 80 is a difference. We have got a lot of starts, but at this level of international cricket, it's probably not good enough. You do really need to go on with it and get a formidable score. So the bowling is looking really good. The fielding was really good. It got a little bit sloppy towards the end, but the side is fielding really well. It's just that batting. Yep.
Right. So the scoreboard will say that India beat Australia by 6 wickets with 7 balls to spare, aided primarily by a terrific 141-run unbeaten partnership between Mahendra Singh Dhoni and Kedar Jadhav. That's for the game on the field. Now, off the field, there was the other game. Remember, who's won the Fab Four contest? No prizes for guessing. Let's see. Where do Ajit Agarkar and Sean Tate stand? Well, Ajit, let's see your figures first. This is what Ajit Agarkar chose. Virat Kohli, he's picked up 64 points. Jasprit Bumrah 40, Kuldeep Yadav 40, another 50 points for Glenn Maxwell, which means Ajit has totaled 194 points. Let's see how Sean Tate has replied to Ajit's picks. If you could have the figures for Sean Tate. In a moment, Ajit, are you confident of victory before the figures come up?
Yeah, I mean,
in fact, they have.
So.
Sean Tate has got 87 points.
That's not a good number for an Aussie, is it?
Sean,
I'm at the moment. I'm picking guys that aren't even in the team, so I got to start. I got to be a lot better next. I'm going to do my research before the next one, and be a hell of a lot better.
Sean, Sean is still missing Darcy shot there.
Yeah, looks like. Well, I think Darcy shot was still okay. Picking Finch in the kind of form that he is was even worse.
Same score as Finch anyway. Doesn't matter.
And Sean, since you picked Aaron Finch, in spite of me and Ajit egging you on, rather begging you not to pick him, where would you bat him in the next game? Does he still come on as an opener?
You know what? He's probably got. Yeah, I mean, I think next game he will open. It is a tough one at the moment, especially when he's captain. I would say, I think his last 20 innings he has not scored over 50, if I'm correct. It's something around that. So. It's getting to the point now where it's a bit dire for him. Because he's captain, obviously he's going to stay in the side for a bit longer. But 20 innings without a 50 that's a lot. So I think next game might be one of his last probably chances. Yeah.
Well, that's a tough call for him.
And when you're a leader, you want to try and perform first. If you're performing, it just becomes so much easier to demand things of your team. The team just naturally follows you. And it must be killing him at the moment not getting runs, because batting at the top of the order, you want to set an example, and he's struggling at the moment. I agree with Sean. I mean, not sure how many chances he has up top. Clearly, as captain, he'll play, but maybe if there's another failure, they might think of dropping him down the order.
So Aaron Finch certainly under the pump as far as this particular situation is concerned. But the series now moves on to Nagpur for the second ODI. Ajit, any changes you think India would want to make, or do you think we should go into the same team?
I'm not a big fan of changing every game. Although at the moment there is a little bit of experimentation going on with regards to World Cup. We've got 4 more games. India's got 4 more games before the World Cup that the team plays together. So we might see an odd change. I don't think so in one game. Could depend on the conditions, obviously. There's a case of maybe playing another bowler in place of either Ravindra Jadeja or Vijay Shankar, depending. If they want a third seamer, they might play Vijay Shankar or include a third seamer for that matter. So that, if at all, that probably would be the only change in my opinion. I can't see every game Virat Kohli making too many changes.
Still difficult to see either KL Rahul or Rishabh Pant in the mix.
It won't be fair to the guys who are playing at the moment. I mean, if you change after one game, I think Raidu looked okay when he was in. Kedar Jadhav's got a score. And the top 3 would like to get into good form. A couple of them got starts today. So I don't think anyone would want to sit out after one game.
Right, one final word from you, Sean. Your namesake, Sean, but Sean Marsh. Do you think he comes back straight into the team? He's got 400s in the last 10 games, last 10 ODI games.
That's probably the only change if you're looking at the Australian side. That he's a pretty solid one-day player. They could probably do with him in the team at the moment. There's a lot of questions unanswered. You know, Peter Hanscom, obviously Finchie's under the pump at the moment. We're not sure what our batting lineup is going to be, and I think Sean Marsh fits into the Australian one-day team at the moment. So if there's going to be changes in the next few days, I think that's Sean Marsh coming in is probably about it. But again, maybe one more game just to see how things go and sort itself out. Because there's still 4 matches left in this series. So yeah.
Right, and since there are concerns about reducing the workload on your faster bowlers, do you think they could possibly make a case of bringing in Jai Richardson for Pat Cummins?
Well, that will happen at some stage, definitely. There'll be someone like a Paddy Cummins will be rested. He looked like he charged in really well tonight and bowled pretty decent pace, Cummins. So maybe they will just say, yeah, we'll give Paddy a rest. But it'll certainly happen at some stage during this series. Whether that's next game, I'm not sure.
Right, so that does it as for this particular time. Looking ahead to the next game at Nagpur. Ajit Agarkar, thank you very, very much for joining us. So thank you very much to Sean Tate too for joining us here. Remember, you were watching Maruti Suzuki presents ESPN Cricinfo Matchday. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.